What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down my buddy Ian Valentino's 2025 NFL mock draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know how to use YouTube. Below my board is my face. It is currently changing because I changed some things up. If you want to know what I'm doing, feel free to follow me over on Twitter. You guys can literally just go to that link tree, that link, I guess it's a link tree, and you get to click on it. Everything is there, all the socials, all the sponsors. Shout out to my sponsor, UnderDog Fantasy. Great company. I stand behind them. They stand behind me. They treat my people well. They treat me well. But if you want to use my code, feel free to. You get a 50% match up to $250, and you get to have a little more skin in the game. But let's get right into this. Let's have a good time, and let's get on with it, right? So, starting out with the number 1 overall pick, the Panthers get Will Campbell. We'll have to see, what the tackle situation is. Icky had some issues, but I think that Will Campbell would not be an awful decision. I would just say that Will Campbell's arms are a little bit short. He's measured out at 33 inches, but, again, some people are having a struggle with 5, so 33 seems fine to me. But jokes aside, I do have some concerns over Will Campbell's arm length. That being said, he's done a pretty good job given that. So we'll see what happens there. Patriots then draft Mikael Williams. So this is Jordan Reed's projected number 1 player. He has a ton of room to grow, and it takes a lot of projection to think he'll be here. But, it is feasible. He's a great athlete. He moves amazingly for his size, and it's just he doesn't really bring the momentum of a 265-pounder. But the Patriots, according to Matt Judon's tweet or response to a tweet, it basically doesn't look like they're going to be bringing him back after this year. So we'll see about that. Pick number 3, the Broncos goes James Pierce. I'm not a big James Pierce guy compared to people who put him in the top 5. Again, a lot of projection for James Pierce. I have him graded significantly better than Mikael Williams, but James Pierce is also smaller. So it's not just a, you get that little learning curve. James Pierce is in that lower 240-pound range, but he's still fantastic. I mean, to me, he's right now a fringe starter, so a little bit of improvement. I think that it's not out of the question for 3, but at the moment, based on the player he is now, it certainly is. The Titans then grab up Will Johnson to create the best corner core in the NFL, pretty much the number 2 corner or number 1 corner in the NFL. I think Will Johnson would end up being the number 1 corner in the NFL. Hot take. But you also have L'Jarius Sneed there, so that'd be absolutely ridiculous. You'd have to see the reason why you guys would be here at 4, but I doubt it would be because of corner play. At pick number 5, the Giants go Carson Beck. Fits the system to a T. Just a guy who's a plug and play. I don't think that he's going to limit a team in terms of their ability to win a Super Bowl, but I don't know if he's going to be the main proponent of that reason that they could. 6, the Commanders go Kelvin Banks. Their offensive line is pretty mediocre, apart from Cosme. I'm a really big fan of his, but Kelvin Banks would be a solid option, and then you'd have 2 Texas offensive linemen there that would be pretty damn solid. Pick number 7, we got the Cardinals going Mason Graham. Defensive interior still is not solid for the Cardinals, so Mason Graham would be a great addition. He's an elite block shedder. I think he needs to have a more complete game, but at the end of the day, getting off blocks is a pretty damn good foundation to have. At pick 8, the Raiders go Shedeur Sanders. I've gone ad nauseum about my concerns with Shedeur. He's still a top 50 player for me, and he's a smart player. He throws with more anticipation than any other quarterback in this class. But, it's going to be interesting. I don't really know if he brings the talent upside that the Las Vegas Raiders would need to select him at 8 over just improving their team and letting Aiden O'Connell, who, in my opinion, has a similar floor at the moment, being able to take more and more steps. Pick number 9, you got the Vikings going Dayon Walker. He's a freakish athlete, and Minnesota does need to work on their defensive interior. I'm going to have my video up on them pretty damn soon. It's already uploaded, but I'm going to be going to New Orleans, so I'm going to be having that drop over the week. But fantastic upside. It's just he stands straight up, and he's 6'6". You don't have a great center of gravity when you're standing up, literally all 6'6" of you. At number 10, the Seahawks go Garrett Nussmeier. That's going to be a big projection right there because the Nuss bus hasn't really had a ton of time to start. But he does have a lively arm. He's a fun player to watch. I just think right now he's still very, very behind in terms of his development, in terms of being a starting quarterback. So wouldn't really go that way. Same thing with Jalen Milroe. I like Jalen Milroe a lot. If he goes to the Saints, it'd be interesting because he complements Spencer Rattler in terms of, like, I think Spencer was more of an elusive athlete. Jalen's much more of a power athlete. Both of them have a cannon arm, but I think Jalen's a little bit more exciting in terms of the arm talent than Spencer. Spencer's a little bit more pinpoint. So it'd be interesting to see how that quarterback battle would end up working out. The Buccaneers then go Luther Burden at 12. You know, Luther Burden's a really talented receiver. It's a guy who I'm going to be regrading again because just the more I watch him, or like the more I see highlights of his, it makes me always just want to doubt what I've actually studied, and I'd rather just continue to study more and more and more. I don't think it's a bad thing to continue challenging your own beliefs. So we'll see about it, but right now I think it's a little bit early. But again, I'm challenging my own views and trying to say that consensus is more right than I am. Pick 13, the Colts go Ben Morrison, fantastic player. He's going to be my number 2 player in the class, pretty much hands down. To me, he's a blue chip player, and the Colts need a boundary corner. Pick number 14, the Steelers go Travis Hunter. You know, we've dealt with personalities in the past. I think Travis Hunter has a great motor. Just on certain plays when he's playing corner specifically, I didn't think he contested the ball when he should have. You know, it is what it is, but at 14, I'm definitely taking that deal all day long. And, you know, we might even be able to use him on both sides of the ball. Then you got the Rams going Emeka Egbuka. I don't really know if this is going to be the best move. Of course, we need to see Emeka back at full health because he was a lot better the year before than he was last year where he was a little bit banged up. I don't know if the Rams are going to need to go after wide receiver at this point. I do think that tight end's still on their radar. They liked Brock Bowers. I think they could be in the market for someone like Mitchell Evans. Pick 16, the Jaguars go Malachi Starks. I love Malachi. There's going to be a DB video that comes out after I return. I think it's just going to be a little bit better on our overall time, so then I can sit down and probably spend about an hour on that because we're going to have 16 DBs that we're going to be talking about. Pick 17, we got the Browns going Abdul Carter. I'm not there with Abdul yet. He is just on the inside of my top 50, and that's with a big projection boost for him as an edge rusher. He was pretty much god-awful as a linebacker. He's good in coverage. That's cool. Or good in zone coverage at least, but when it comes down to his tackling, 28% missed tackle rating, that's just atrocious. That's not acceptable. And for the Browns, I have some other guys on the roster that I believe in just a little bit more than Abdul at the moment. 18, the Bears go after the better edge rusher, Nick Skouerton. You know, that's the dream. It's a pretty much a wet dream, so to speak, for the Bears. And, you know, if they're able to land Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, and then also Nick Skouerton with their 3 first-round picks in terms of the over 2-year span, or technically over just about a year span, they might be able to set themselves up for legitimately decade plus. Like, Nick Skouerton's awesome. At pick 19, the Chargers go Colston Loveland. I mean, it's the easy connection. You bring him back to Harbaugh. The Chargers have been looking for a tight end for quite a while to actually be a full-time contributor. Colston Loveland's an awesome tight end. He plays a lot more outside than in line. I think it was only 30% he played in line, but that's also because A.J. Barner, the better blocker, was the majority in line. At 20, the Texans go Harold Perkins. Kind of feels like a move that the Texans would make. Like D'Amico being able to get a linebacker who was hyper athletic, good in coverage, and great as a pass rusher. To me, just it can work. So I'm not going to shame him too much on this. This is an interesting pick for sure. I like Harold Perkins a lot. At 21, we have the Jets going T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan. I don't really think you need to do this. Mike Williams is on a 2-year deal. And, you know, I didn't really think he was too versatile. He's one of those guys who I do believe is not going to be in the first round when all is said and done. Another player who I will be restudying, but definitely did not get that from watching his tape the first time. Then we got the Falcons going Tacario Davis. He's been listed potentially even as a safety. He's a fun one. 6'4", I think 195. Very smart, very good in zone coverage. I would say my only issue with him is that he takes a little while to change directions, and the only reason he's been relatively competitive is the fact that he is very smart, so he's very efficient with his steps. There's just, when you're going up against efficient route runners, they might be able to gain that separation because of the fact that Tacario has a hard time changing directions. And at 6'4", it's not easy. At 23, the Dolphins get their defensive interior replacement in Tyleik Williams. He's my DT2, so I am perfectly fine with that. That's a good value spot for him as well. The Packers then go Emory Jones, another offensive lineman, but, you know, I guess that's BPA. Emory Jones, to me, is a top 10 player. He's really solid, and he's very aggressive, but I just don't really know if they're going to want to get after another offensive lineman this early. But it's a team that doesn't have very many issues, so you can pretty much have fun wherever you like. Then the Cowboys go Nick Anderson. He's going to be one of those receivers I'm about to study for my wide receiver deep dive that I'll probably be doing after corner, because I end up spoiling the fun for myself early on. I'm a little bit impulsive because I know that guys like Broshmo like to wait longer for that. I do not. I gotta be able to enjoy my scouting at least at the beginning, and then let that enjoyment seep into the other positions where, have like a little bit less enjoyment. But at 26, the Eagles go Kevin Winston, safety out of Penn State. Poor pursuit angles are the killer of Kevin Winston, but he's a fun player to watch. He's an enforcer, big hitter as well. Brings Philadelphia Eagles energy, but I just don't know in the first round. At 27, the Lions go Fernando Carmona, another guy who I'll be adding to the list essentially for the deep dive for offensive tackles, but I don't really see much of a need to draft Fernando at the moment. I know that we're talking about Taylor Decker having a little bit of a muddied future, but we'll see. I haven't seen anybody except for Ian Valentino and Ian Cummings being able to talk about Fernando Carmona in this respect. Then at 28, the Bengals go Quinshon Judkins, keeping him there in Ohio. That's fine with me. They have thrived with one cutbacks, and Quinshon's awesome. At 29, we got the Bills going Denzel Burke, literally the definition of solid everywhere, like reliable 24/7. I will say, I do think Davison Igbinison, the number 1 corner there for Ohio State, or he actually wears number 1, so you can call him corner 2. But the guy who wears number 1 might be better. To me, he's better. But Denzel's awesome. You can't go wrong. Then the Ravens go Evan Stewart. To me, he's a slant merchant. I don't know if the Ravens need to get smaller at receiver. And it doesn't really surprise me. I think Tez Johnson's a better receiver than Evan Stewart. Then at 31, the Niners go Jack Sawyer. Needs way more development to me, but again, this is projection. A lot of these guys should be projected to get better over the year. He has gotten better year over year. To me, it just isn't at a fast enough rate for the first round, but the Niners do need to, arm up with actual edge talent besides Nick Bosa, and they've kind of done some patchwork there over the offseason. Then at 32, the Chiefs go Walter Nolan. He has a fun defensive interior, very explosive, plays with some good size. I just think that the full game is not exactly there. He's more show than tell. So overall, fun draft to talk about. I mean, we don't really get to talk too much about some of these players this system fits, and that's what I love about both of the Ians and Cummings as well as Valentino, is that they're willing to push the status quo and actually be real. So love them for that. Congrats on Ian for getting on the 33rd team. So that's awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Love y'all. Wish me luck in New Orleans. It's going to be a fun one, and probably going to go see some Gators as well. So it's going to be super exciting, but that's going to be all for today. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the far side.